Welcome. Today we will explore some of the announcements at Ignite concerning Teams, Power Platform, Dynamics 365, and the latest on Project for the Web and Planner updates. For more information about today's program, make sure you check out the Book of News and other useful links located at the end of the presentation. So with me today is Scott Derby. Scott is Principal Cloud Strategist and prior to joining Planet, Scott spent 16 years with Microsoft Government Team in a variety of roles, including supporting the modern work, project and portfolio management, and Office 365 for Business. And of course, Noah Sparks is back with us again, joining us and representing the organizational change management team. Welcome, Scott, and welcome back, Noah. We're so glad you're here and joining us today on the program. So before we get started, I would love to do a quick poll to see what types of customers we have with us today. So when you can, please submit your answers in the poll. We're looking to know, what organization do you work for? Is it state and local government, federal government, defense, education, commercial, tribal, or nonprofit? Thanks. Before we get started with the discussion, let's quickly go over the agenda. First, we'll talk about Teams announcements, then PowerPoint, Dynamics, and lastly, project and planner updates. And of course, we got one more poll. So when you can, please submit your answer to this poll as well. And we want to know really what you're most interested in today. Is it Teams, Power Platform, Dynamics, Project and Planner, or all of the above? Just kind of what brings you here today? What do you want to hear most about? So let's go ahead and get started. The major themes that we heard at Ignite was do more with less, a theme that obviously resonates very close to home here with the You Already Own It program. But during the kickoff session, we heard 5 major themes discussed, and today we will mostly talk about 2, 4, and 5. 2 being deliver efficiency with automation and AI, and then 4, re-energize your workforce with Microsoft 365, and then 5 being protect everything, everyone, and everywhere. The next recap that we're doing on Azure data and security will focus more on 1, 3, and 5, obviously. So we'll save that for the next show. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First off, what a year it's been. In the last year, Microsoft has released over 450 announcements in just Teams alone. Today, we will give updates on Teams Premium, chat updates, meeting updates, channel updates. So let's start with Microsoft Teams Premium add-on, which was probably one of the biggest announcements regarding Teams. And it's built on the familiar all-in-one Teams collaborative experience. Teams Premium will make every meeting from one-to-one meetings, one-on-one meetings, to virtual appointments, to town halls and webinars more personable, intelligent, and secure. We're going to talk about a little bit what features are coming that are going to make those happen. I know certainly Casey and I have been waiting anxiously for some of these webinar capabilities that are going to provide a huge value to us and raise the standard of this program as well as we do these webinars moving forward. So what is Teams Premium? Teams Premium will bring advanced Teams innovations into one offering and will make meetings more personalized with meeting guides. Think of these as templates. Think of those as ways to set up meeting as templates in advance, because these guides can be customized and managed by IT, and users can select a guide like client call or brainstorming meeting or help desk support, and then the options will already be set, reducing the time and the thought process around getting the meeting set up in the first place. Next, the ability to brand the meeting. This is really cool, with custom logos and backgrounds for the Teams lobby, custom backgrounds at an organizational level, and custom scenes for Together mode, which is going to be really fun to play with, to integrate the company's brand into virtual interactions. Teams Premium will be more secure with end-to-end encryption and other meeting protection systems, like safeguarding confidential meetings such as board meetings, financial discussions. And with this, things like watermarking could help with deterring leaks, limiting who can record the session. Users get additional protections to help keep the discussion private. And of course, E5 customers will be able to leverage their existing work with Microsoft Purview information protection sensitivity labels to automatically apply relevant meeting protection options. Now, when we talk about advanced webinars, which is the stuff that I was really excited about with Casey, it'll include like registration wait lists, the ability to manually approve people in that wait list, automated reminder emails, a virtual green room for hosts and presenters, and the ability to manage what attendees see. For virtual appointments, We're looking at helping out the business to consumer type of engagements there. In addition to basic virtual appointment value in M365, access to a virtual appointment app will bring together all kinds of capabilities, like the ability to integrate bookings and Microsoft Teams calendar into one app. Advanced virtual appointments will help users manage that end-to-end experience, like things like pre-appointment text messaging, reminders, branding the library, the lobby experience, and post-appointment follow-ups, which would be really nice. All that automation coming into play there. They'll get the best of both scheduled and on-demand appointments, and they'll be able to track customers joining and the wait times that they've been for some of these pre-appointment chat capabilities to communicate with customers and analytics. So lots of functions and features for these people who are setting up these appointments. These will all be rolling out sometime in December 22 as part of the Teams Premium Preview, with general availability of Teams Premium in February. Now, I know there are a couple of questions you're going to have on licensing. I can tell you that I've already tracked some of this down, but there is still some of this stuff we just don't know yet, right? So I think one of the first questions you're probably all going to have is, how is this going to be purchased? Does everybody have to have Teams Premium? Is it just the organizers? And the answer is the meeting organizer. The answer is the meeting organizer has to be licensed. And the meeting organizer has to be licensed, but not all the participants. That's true for all features except for Intelligent Recap. If you want to consume that, you'll need a premium license. And what we're hearing is it's going to be MSRP around $10 per person per month. That's list price. So it'll be probably less on an enterprise agreement. So, there's nothing stopping us, at least at this point in time. We don't know enough. If the meeting organizers are able to capture these capabilities and then post some of this intelligent recap stuff that I'm going to talk about next on a SharePoint site, we'll have to see how that works. But at this point, we're thinking just the meeting organizers probably need these capabilities from a licensing standpoint. So it could be an economical way to get these advanced features to your organization. So let's talk about, my apologies. So let's talk about the last part of Teams Premium, which I think is probably the most incredible part of this whole thing, right? It's about taking advantage of the AI, and I think this is the best part of Teams Premium. So what is Intelligent Recap? Intelligent Recap gives your users personalized highlights from Teams meetings to help discover information that matters most. As Microsoft says, users can miss a meeting but not miss out. So how is this going to work for them? First of all, there are AI-generated tasks. So think of these as automatically assigned from meetings, so action items are not missed. It's like having a virtual assistant attend and take notes and actually generate tasks using artificial intelligence. Intelligent Playback will create automatically generated chapters in the recording to easily navigate to a Teams meeting recording and help you understand the context of a meeting discussion, as well as who spoke those words. Personal insights in a meeting recording will call out important moments in the meeting, such as when a user's name was mentioned, a screen was shared, or when people have left the meeting or joined the meeting. Finally, Intelligent Search will help make searching the transcripts easier and suggested speakers personalized for the user so they can quickly refer to specific point and reference. As you can see, these new capabilities strongly support the theme of artificial intelligence everywhere. Again, from a licensing perspective, at this point, we're thinking, what I understand at least from licensing, that the meeting organizer needs to be obviously licensed minimally, but at this point, we're not thinking that the users have to have that license. But again, we'll have to see how this rolls out. Again, some of the AI capabilities of this new release is going to be rolling out in the first half of 2023, so we're not going to be able to see some of this intelligent recap stuff until about that time. So switching away from Teams Premium and back to what everybody already owns, right? That's our favorite topic. Let's talk about some of the new chat features that are coming. And these new chat features are rolling out now until the end of the year. In fact, I've already started seeing some of these things and started playing with them, as you can see from this the video of me on the side. So, first item here is video clips. With video clips, you can simply record, send, and view and reply from a desktop or mobile application or device instead of chatting, right? So it's kind of a cool new way to capture a short little video instead of chats. Expanded reactions, we've talked about this for some time now. Over 800 Teams emojis are going to be available. If you haven't seen them yet, they'll be coming. Suggested replies, this is one of the most time-saving things I've seen so far. I've already seen it show up in my phone, in my desktop as well. But for one-to-one chats, and this will also appear in group chats, suggested replies will use machine learning to generate the responses for you to save you time on just quickly sending a response, which I think is very helpful. Delete chat. So if you've ever been involved in a chat and all of a sudden, it just lights up and it's not really pertinent to you, you can delete that chat without interfering with the rest of the chat going on. So you can take yourself out of that chat. So that's coming. This other item is pretty cool. So, with channels, you can mention the channel and it'll send a message out to everybody in the channel. But in chat, there was no way to do that, right? So you'd have to do @Joe, @Susie, @John. Now with this mention @everyone in the group chat, it'll notify everybody in the group and save you the time from having to do that and possibly missing somebody, which I know happens all the time. So that's going to be a very cool feature coming up here. And then finally, moving along with the AI, Teams Chat is continuing to expand its productivity set and features using AI. And one of the things they're going to be doing is zero-state people recommendations. In essence, suggesting people to initiate chat conversations. So that should be really interesting to see how that works out. And these are all rolling out by the end of the year. And I've already seen some of these things take place this week, actually, in my Teams client. The last chat update I want to mention is scheduled send. This is a pretty cool thing. So scheduled send enables users to manually select the future date and time that they would like a chat message to be delivered. This is more AI here. And the thing I wanted to say about this was, well, AI will know the work schedule of the people that you're sending this message to, and even the time zones of those people. So if you're trying to send a message to them after hours, it's also helping that employee work-life balance thing, right? Not forcing people to look at chats after hours. It's going to say, hey, do you really want to send this now? This person's not online anymore. They're done for the day. Possibly send it tomorrow at 9 a.m. So it's kind of some more AI built into understanding the calendar, office hours of the individuals, the time zones of those individuals, and then making some suggestions to you based on that intelligence that it has built in. Meeting updates. So a couple big things here, from two items really, Cameo and Excel Live. Cameo is a PowerPoint experience that integrates with Teams camera feed in the PowerPoint live presentation capabilities. And it just allows you to build that into your slides, live video in your slides, as well as your live video and your PowerPoints as well. And then Excel Live, this is something that's really cool from a collaboration standpoint, the ability to edit Excel workbooks in real time within the meeting window on any device, including Android and iOS phones. Sheet views will allow everyone co-editing the workbook to sort or filter however they want without disrupting everyone else's view. So that's pretty cool. And this will all be rolling out by the end of the year as well. Another team meetings capability, Together Mode. Now, some people may have already seen this. Together Mode, obviously, if you haven't seen it, makes participants feel like they're all sitting in the same room. We talked a little bit about Teams Premium, where you're going to actually be able to customize the room that you're actually sitting in the future. But what the big highlight here is, though, is the ability to assign seats and the ability to pin that view of the Together Mode for everyone to see. The assigned seats is still in preview, so I think it's sometime early first quarter next year, but the pinning capability is available now. So if you want to force a specific Together Mode view to all your participants, that is available coming soon, most likely by the end of the year, because it says it's in general availability. So channel updates. This is a pretty cool thing, and Noah, if you can get ready to comment, because this is where I wanted to bring you into this conversation. So Microsoft is improving the design of Teams channels, and while we don't have a date yet disclosed about when this is going to be available, this is something important enough to mention because there looks to be like there's some overlap possibly with other technologies already in use. And the channel experience will be more intuitive and engaging, enabling users to focus on topics and conversations that matter most, staying with their flow of work. So what does this mean? I think Microsoft is really developing this in competition with Slack. So if you look at this, you'll notice a lot of the capabilities of Slack in here. Like, for instance, the compose box is at the top of the the channel, right? That's something we're all going to have to get used to because we're so used to the compose box at the bottom of the channel messages, right? So this is going to be right at the very top from here on out when this change takes place. And it's definitely going to take some getting used to. Pinned posts will make it easier for everyone to know what is important in the channel. The pop-out conversation capability is going to be really great. I mean, I know I'm working in probably 10 or 15 teams a day, and I have to go back all the time and look for the channels that I'm working in. If I could pop that channel out and keep that as a separate window open like I can do with my chat windows, that's going to be an incredible time saver for me specifically. I'm sure for you as well. An info pane will be able to improve productivity for your team members and allow them to get up to speed quickly. But here's a couple other really cool things. The customizable channel header. So if you look at the top, you can actually brand possibly a channel, put pictures at the top of the channel. So that could be really cool. And then the ability to do different multiple post types. So giving users efficient ways to engage and be more expressive with an audience, such as announcements used to highlight a milestone or a video clip to recognize a team member's accomplishment or something like that. Again, we don't know when this is going to happen, but I assume it'll be sometime in first half of next year. We'll probably be talking about it again at Ignite next year, but these are major changes to the way that we work in channels. So I really want to start talking about it now and showing you an example of what it looked like and tell you what capabilities are coming. So for this announcement, Noah, if you could unmute for a second, when I first saw this, I said, wow, this looks like Yammer. This looks a lot like Yammer, which has been rebranded Viva Engaged. I have to throw that in to make sure people are following with us, so in case we go back and forth on the terminology. And I thought I've got to ask Mr. Yammer himself, Noah Sparks, what he thinks about these similarities. So Noah, take a look at this. This looks a lot like Yammer. What are your thoughts about this?
I think Teams is recognizing that social spaces, like a Teams channel, need an identity and a familiar experience. If we look at our consumer lives, right? LinkedIn, where do I start a post? It's at the top.
Yeah.
Facebook is the same, right? So by situating this at the top, right, the publisher box, the compose box at the top, I think it really enhances the experience for everyone. And what I'm really curious to find out is whether some of the capabilities that Yammer has also will come to Teams channels. For example, internal communicators often want more insights into how their post is performing, right?
Right.
Or maybe there's a very heated, contentious topic that's being discussed internally, and I can, in a Yammer environment, I can close that conversation to any more replies. So I'm really interested to see if those things are also coming to a Teams channel. I love that there's a question post type where maybe this now bubbles up previous questions that have already been answered when people begin to ask a question in a Teams channel. Rather than duplicating that, maybe it pulls a similar question forward, right? And the best answer is also directly tied to that question. So,
right. So another question for you. So talk to us a little bit about how this is different than Yammer and the way that you search for things, right? Searching for communities and things like that.
Right. So a community is much more of a open space where you're proactively trying to garner awareness and attention of those activities. Teams channels aren't necessarily that. They are within the team, but beyond the team, you would have to join the team to see any activity that's happening in one of these more active channels. So a channel versus a community is a very different dynamic, and the more exposure, and if you want to be more proactive about getting what's happening in a community or in a group out to a larger audience, you would still stick with Yammer or Viva Engage because they are proactively trying to help others discover those activities.
All right. That's some awesome feedback. So it sounds like moving forward, at least as far as what we know so far, right? We're not hearing a product combined strategy at least as of right now, right? We're still seeing these as separate products, separate distinctive capabilities, and obviously a little bit of overlap, but certainly different use cases for needs there. So thanks. Thanks, Noah. I appreciate your time there.
Thank you.
So let's keep moving on with Loop update. So if you're not familiar with Loop, I'm really excited about this one. I started actually playing with it in the chat. So what is Loop? Loop components are pieces of content that allow users to collaborate in the flow of work, whether it be in Microsoft Teams chats, meetings, or emails, or documents. Basically, when you create a Loop component, you get a URL, and then you can put that URL in anything. And it just, everything stays up to date across all those different capabilities. So Microsoft is expanding Loop components with this announcement to additional places across M365. And it's bringing more components and types in to ensure that users can create work and together. These things will include like new capabilities like inserting a poll and copying an existing Loop component and pasting it into a whiteboard. And again, this will keep all locations of where this Loop component is up to date and in sync across all the other capabilities, places it lives. Polls can be also powered by Microsoft Loop and will enable users to create surveys, quizzes, word clouds, and stay in sync across Outlook and the web and Word for the web. Q&A is a new Loop component that will enable users to collect answers and questions in real time. And so when I was, what I did was I took a snapshot here. If you haven't seen this yet, or if it's not available yet in your tenant, this is a simple snapshot from my chat window. And all you do is you click on the Loop component. And when you click on one of these pre-templated capabilities of a Loop app, basically you can immediately start setting it up and start creating a component that can be inserted in anywhere, any one of the different capabilities across Microsoft. And we've actually used it for creating some wording and some statements of work already. And it could be used also with tasks. Now, I know when Scott and I were talking about this, there could be some interesting questions when it comes down to putting Loop components into documents, right? Because some documents are meant to be, snapshots, right? So anything that's going to be a snapshot certainly should not include a Loop component, especially from a contract standpoint. So just be aware that there's some use cases that Loop is not good for, obviously, but there's some great use cases for it as well. Yeah, so you want to send those contracts as PDFs or something like that. So obviously they can't be changed in the future. I don't know if there's any other comments about this. I'm certainly happy to open up the mics and ask if anyone has any questions about Loop. But it's definitely a powerful tool. It definitely should be something on your list of things to check out in the next few months. If you haven't checked it out, definitely look at it. It could be a very cool way to keep certain chunks of content up to date easily and by multiple team members all at once. Casey, I think you got a question.
Yeah, we had a question from the chat. I'm not sure if we have an answer for this yet, but back in the Teams portion, and the question was how many attendees on Meeting Organizer? I'm not sure if that's something that we know yet, but we can certainly follow up if not.
So if you're talking about the Teams premium capabilities, those items, those numbers in Teams webinars are not affected by Teams Premium that I'm aware of, at least that I've seen or read about yet. I'm not seeing any kind of expansion on those numbers. So I will definitely research that and get back to you to see if they're, making it larger than 10. I forget what the current number is, 10,000 or something like that for Teams webinars. But we'll take a look at that and research that one for you and get you an answer on that as a follow-up, certainly. Thank you for your question, and keep asking questions as we go along here, please. So that's Loop in a nutshell. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. Definitely some cool technology to start working with. It could definitely save you some time. So a little bit for the folks that are still in the office, right? So this hybrid way of working. And so there's some good news for Cisco WebEx users. I know a lot of folks probably in the past have bought some hardware for some of their rooms. But moving forward, for the first time, Microsoft Teams meetings will be available natively across certified Cisco meeting devices, enabling customers to configure Teams as the default meeting experience. So initially, this is going to be about 6 meeting devices that they're targeting, with 3 peripherals to be certified and more to come. The first waves of these devices are expected to be certified early 2023. Let's see, there's an intelligent USB webcam that's coming as also, it should be already available today. While the default experience on these devices will be Microsoft Teams rooms, the devices will continue to support joining WebEx meetings. So it's nice that you can have one piece of hardware that can support both Teams meetings as well as WebEx meetings moving forward. With that, we're wrapping up a lot of the stuff I was going to talk about. We're going to move on to project for the web and planner, unless there's any other questions. And I think Scott's going to start taking over, and I'm going to help out with some commentary as well. But Scott, if you could start talking about project for the web and planner, and where does it all go? And I know you have a long history with these products from your 16 years at Microsoft. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken. So obviously this is a continuing of the long iteration of new features that they're releasing into Project for the Web. From a little bit of a historical perspective, Project for the Web was a new shift in kind of Microsoft's thinking that started about 2 years ago as they moved to a platform that really allowed for easier use, really kind of gearing work management to the masses and gearing it for not necessarily, traditional trained project managers who may carry like a PMP or PMBOK certifications, but now really kind of gearing it for everyone. So as they've continued through that evolution, they've begun to release a whole lot of capabilities, new features as they really kind of mature this overall platform. And that's some of the things that have been represented and are really kind of exciting new advances that are coming out after some of these recent announcements at Ignite. So just to kind of summarize some of the things that have come available here within the past about 6 months, this is really represented on what we're kind of showing here from a release perspective. They've added in a lot of new capabilities around charting within Project for the Web, so I can really get some good business insights into how's my project working, what's happening, what are people able to be getting done in a timely manner, how are my resources being utilized, which this really, the resource management aspect was a big gap in the original releases, and this now starts to fill that. Also, some of the integrations where we're now starting to see a number of pre-built templates. These templates are really nice because it allows me to be able to start to get, a really good mature project plan, start to allow people to, quickly use the capabilities of the tool without really having to do a lot of extra work. So just some examples of some of the templates. You might have templates around a project plan for, a facilities type of scenario. You might have some templates around software development and a number of others. And this is something they're going to continue to evolve, and really kind of one of the other things I'll highlight is also making a lot more of Project for the Web open to E3 and E5 users. So now necessarily E3 and E5 users can be able to edit certain fields within Project. They can look at and see tasks that might be assigned to them. This is great as we start to leverage and getting more people on the platform, more people where you can, take advantage of some of the tools that you already own, as well as really kind of making it easy to have one place to manage all of your tasks and track all of the items. So that's just a few things that have been released. As we kind of look from a future perspective, now really some of the things they're looking at is starting to integrate goals within Viva directly into Project for the Web. So this is going to allow us to be able to look at what some of our organizational objectives, key results might be that we might be tracking in things like Viva goals. And I can now align this to tasks, projects, milestones that might be happening within a project to really help me start to think a little bit more strategically around how we're effectively managing our projects. So, some of the other things that have been added here is a new view that allows you to be able to see all the tasks that are assigned to me. This view really gives us a really good short summary of everything that's happening across all of our projects that are specific to me. Some of the other things that you'll see here, you're also having some new views around task history. We're having some new capabilities built in from dependencies around how do we start to manage tasks that are relating to other tasks, specifically looking at dependencies to allow for things like start to finish, start to start, finish to finish, and lead to lag types of dependencies from a task to task perspective. So a couple of the other things. Oh, go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's great to see finally like these tasks being combined between Planner and Project because it was so difficult with them being separated. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually some of the nice views that are coming in with some of these new sprints and backlogs. is it does really kind of bring some of the agile project management methodologies as a first-class citizen within project, which is a little bit new and a little bit different thinking from a Microsoft perspective, and I'm happy to see that. So it does allow us to have a lot more flexibility on the types of projects, how we're managing our tasks, and really kind of bringing that integrated aspect of both project and planner into one area. So, and I think the last thing I'll kind of highlight here, they've also done some scale improvements to Project for the Web. So Project for the Web, they've actually expanded the task, the limit in the task number up to 1,000 tasks on a per project basis. So this is a fairly sizable increase. So now we can start to look at managing larger projects within Project for the Web, which was really kind of one of the big limitations for, an organization that might have had a lot of, a big project or a project that might be spanning multiple years. You're really kind of stuck with using the original project or project online. Project for the Web now starts to become a first-class citizen in this perspective because of that expansion to allow for a much greater number of tasks in a project. So.
All right. Thanks so much, Scott, for some of your background on this and where we're all going. So let's move on. Yeah, let's move on to Power Platform. Scott, do you want to take this or you want me to take this?
I can take this.
Okay, sure.
So, couple of things I want to highlight here, and just a side note, as you guys are looking at tools like Project, one of the things to keep in mind is that Project Dynamics, and quite honestly, a lot of the new tools that Microsoft is releasing is all built on the Power Platform. So obviously this is a major investment from a Microsoft perspective here. I just want to highlight just a few of the different things that we're seeing within the Power Platform. Number one is really this ability to start integrating and automating processes within Power Automate using natural language and AI. So, from some of this perspective here that we're looking at, you'll get a lot of new capabilities to be able to automate how quickly we can create Power Automate workflows, integration with some of the common tools like Excel, also using natural language to build out that workflow. So it's really all about how do I start to create workflows quicker and more effectively from that perspective. So a couple of the other ones that I'll highlight here, Power Pages updates. So Power Pages was was first announced at Build 2022 earlier this year. They've made a number of new investments into Power Pages to really kind of help you take advantage of it when you're creating new pages, updating these particular pages. Some of the key things they've added in is a design studio that's really there to help you create multi-step forms to be able to do it all without any code. You'll also have the ability to integrate things like cascading style sheets, previews as into these particular pages to help you really kind of manage that entire publishing process from start to finish as you're using things like Power Pages. There's also a number of templates that have been brought into this template hub. So there's 16 new templates that are designed to help you kind of quickly and easily deploy an application, customize the look and feel, model data around that particular one, as well as tools for the developer from the professional developer side so that you can really have this, equal perspective of both a, citizen developer and a professional developer being able to quickly work together to be able to quickly publish applications and manage the growing demand that we have for applications and the growing demand of data that we're seeing across the board. So, lastly is some new capabilities around security and governance, including some integrations within the Azure Web Application firewalls, integrations with content delivery networks within Azure to be able to quickly integrate a lot of the governance capabilities into our application sets that we're creating within Power Pages. So, and I think one of the last ones, and this is actually one of my personal favorites, is enables the Dataverse now enables the developers to be able to connect to external data. So this is really big because we have so much data, and the Dataverse represents this really powerful tool to be able to quickly create tables, create content, manage that all together, and ultimately publish that out into either business processes through Power Automate or into applications through Power Apps, etc. Well, we've had the ability to, integrate external data for a while through some of these linked data sources within the Dataverse. Some of the new capabilities allow us to be able to quickly expand that through a series of data connectors, where I can quickly take Dataverse, pull it directly from a table within Excel, or pull it from something directly within OneDrive, or maybe SQL in Azure, or any other outside data source, quite honestly, and be able to automatically generate the schemas, be able to streamline a lot of that integration. And all through simple wizards within Power Apps, I can start to create applications based on some of that external data, as well as quickly link it to some of the other data that I might be managing within the Dataverse. So this is a pretty big announcement to be able to really extend kind of the power of the applications that we can create within the Power Platform. So
absolutely, Scott, thanks for going over those. We have one more big item here about managed environments, right? So I love to see that the Center of Excellence is constantly being expanded. If you're not familiar with Center of Excellence and you're doing Power Platform, you need to be, especially if you're an admin, right? So, you know, there's lots of new capabilities, collection of features that enable IT admins to manage Power Platform environments. And this is one of them. So there's going to be now this thing called managed environments that'll include like a weekly digest, which provides proactive notifications to give insights into most used and least used apps and low-code environments, allowing the admins to clean up unused resources and celebrate apps that are being extensively used, obviously. Limit sharing, so another admin control used to rein in app sprawl and reduce oversharing of limiting who can use apps in a Power Platform environment by removing and sharing among security groups and limiting the number of users. Now also the ability to do data loss prevention on the actual instance itself, which is really cool versus just across the entire Power Platform admin scape. And as well as simple environment activation, which allows Power Platform admins to easily activate managed environments for Power Platform in the Power Platform Admin Center with just a few clicks. So using Power Automate actually to build processes around managing environments is what this is kind of all about, which is really exciting that the Center of Excellence is kind of expanding here. Anything else you want to bring up there, Scott?
No, I think you hit on some of the key things there. I mean, obviously, this is a continuing area as you start to deploy more and more applications, especially in scenarios like, for example, within state governments, as you're looking at kind of deploying these across central IT into multi-agencies. This becomes really powerful to managing the environments, especially delegating that out to agencies when needed in that case. So,
okay. Moving along here, themes and big items, dynamics. I'll let you take this one, Scott.
Absolutely. So as we kind of continue some of this around some of the new advancements that's come within Power Platforms, obviously this really kind of ties tightly into what we're seeing happening within Dynamics. Well, there's a whole host of new capabilities that have been released into Dynamics. We picked out just a couple of key ones. The biggest ones that we found that we really liked, we're really looking at some of the new capabilities that are integrating Teams directly within Dynamics. So one of those here is really all about the ability to embed Teams chat directly within Dynamics. So what this is going to allow us to do is users can collaborate with stakeholders directly within Dynamics 365. All this is then embedded with a native Teams chat in that process. So through that there, now we can see within the Teams chat, we can quickly collaborate on maybe a sales opportunity within Dynamics 365 or a service case. We can get history around what's happening, connect other people into that as we're working that particular opportunity or working on that particular case. The goal here is really all about how quickly we can collaborate without necessarily having to switch between application and application so that we can quickly resolve issues and be able to move on to kind of the next key things. So, and of course, as something is happening, all of the Teams chats are directly stored within that customer service record so that you've always got a good, deep contextual experience around what's happening.
Yeah. So the theme here is more integration with Teams and Dynamics coming closer together. We heard it back about 6 months ago on the first release this year, I believe, talking about the voice capabilities being tied in from Teams to Dynamics, creating that all-in-one, synergy between the two products. Now we're talking about more chat embedded capabilities, and it's just going to keep getting closer and closer together. So lots of cool capabilities if you're using Dynamics. for customer service and other capabilities of Dynamics. Okay. We got a poll question here again. So today we're just kind of wrapping up here. Which announcement today seemed like something your organization will use in the future? We obviously started off with Teams Premium. We talked about lots of updates around chat, meetings, Loop, Power Platform, Dynamics, and Project Planner and updates. We're just kind of curious what you heard today, what sparked your interest, what you may be looking into moving forward. So if you could just fill out that poll really quick, we'd appreciate it. At this point, I'm just going to throw it out there. If there's any questions, either from the other cloud strategists that want to bring up any topics, or Noah or Scott, if you want to bring up anything, that's fine. I'm just throwing it out there to customers. If you have any questions about things you heard today, we'd love to hear about them. Otherwise, we'll start wrapping up and give you back a little bit of time today. Again, this is the first part of the recap. There's a full detail in the book of news. If you haven't checked that out, that's a resource at the end. I'll show you in a slide, I think, to definitely take a look at that. Looks like people are interested in the chat updates as I am as well. Teams Premium looks like it's pretty exciting stuff, I think. We had a question about GCC High features. Those are always one-offs. We'll have to get some more detail on that. Whenever Ignite talks about the general availability and the rollout schedule, they don't usually talk about GCC High. So that's going to take a little bit more research if we can even find it. So thank you for your question, Justin. I know it's frustrating when you hear these things, but the good news is you're getting a head start on knowing what's coming down the line.
A quick context to Justin's question, actually, within the You Already Own It DIB team, we will be doing a separate one in the near future that will share some of these. The GCC High roadmap updates are a little bit out of band from the typical what happens at Ignite, so give us a little bit of time and we'll pull those together for you guys shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. All right, so this next slide is just lots of handy resources. You'll get the presentation after, sent to you as a follow-up to this. Definitely take a look at the Teams breakout sessions from Ignite. The 365 roadmap is always great to look at. The Teams blog is always fun. And then we've got some Power Platform links here, obviously, like we always do. The Wave 2 launch for Power Platform, that's going on now until I think it's April, I believe, Scott? I can't remember. I think it's October to April or March, something like that. It's one release 2 for Power Platform releases. And there's a nice little demo video here on YouTube. If you're interested more about the synergy and the future roadmap of Project and Planner coming together, definitely take a look at that. I think you'll get that. It's a great way to spend 5 minutes to get up to speed on Project and Planner and where it's all going, kind of some of the stuff we talked about today. We talked about, so the question was about, we have a question that came in about Teams Premium licensing. So from the intel that I've been able to get so far, which was from somebody at Microsoft, but I guess things are still rolling out specifically around the intelligent recap stuff. But what I'm hearing from this individual is that if you're, it sounds like you can just license the organizers or somebody who's a power user of Teams that uses this stuff all the time, or somebody who sets up webinars, or, to use the intelligent recap capabilities, you have to be licensed. Absolutely. So there's going to be a licensing requirement for that. And it's about $10 per person, per user, per month as MSRP. So that's about as best I know right now. It's unknown right now if the organizer of that meeting can then post the insights that it found on the recordings and things like that to a SharePoint site. Who knows? That's a little bit early to tell, but there may not be anything blocking the capability at this point. So we'll have to see from a licensing perspective, the details of how that's going to roll out moving forward. But that's a great question. All right. So with that, again, please come back and join us on December 1st. We're going to have some folks from our Azure team, data team, and security team here to talk to us about those areas of the Ignite and what was most interesting to them about the announcements. That'll be on December 1st at 1 o'clock. and you can scan that QR code. I'm sure that when the follow-up email from this, there'll be a link to it as well as the newsletter that you received earlier this month. Just a reminder, you have access to all these resources as part of being in the You Already Own It program. So make sure you check out all the recordings from the past, the blogs from the past. If you are interested in a cloud strategy session or interested in any of our workshops or briefings, please contact Michelle McGraw or your account team, and we'll be happy to schedule those follow-ups with you. Well, that's a wrap from all of us here at Planet Technologies. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Noah, for your insights today. They were very helpful. We want to thank all of our customers, and we wish you all a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. If you want to follow up on today's session or have questions, feel free to reach out to us or your account team anytime. Thanks for joining us again. We hope you found this useful. See you on December 1st.